2018, we saw a big jump in the use of extreme risk protection orders after the Parkland shooting. And what we found is that some of the cases are very focused on self-harm and intervening in situations where people are suicidal. We also have cases where people are making homicidal threats or threats to the community. And then we've had cases where there's both. And so we are intervening in all of those situations as the cases come to our attention. In Washington State, or at least in King County, most of our ERPO petitions have been sought by law enforcement. So we've had a handful of family members seeking them out. And so we know we need to get the word out more to the community. I think that we've had a lot of success so far in intervening. We've had, surprisingly, we've had respondents who are subject to extreme risk protection orders come to court and thank law enforcement for intervening at this really dark time in their life. That has really floored all of us, that the perception is that this is always going to be adversarial and always going to be antagonistic. And the reality is, for many people, they're going through a really difficult time. And that intervention point is so critical in helping them get the help that they need and helping them move on to be in a healthier place. I manage the Regional Domestic Violence Firearms Enforcement Unit, and we really look at this as groundbreaking work and really reforming a system that has been very reactive to violence that's already occurred, to really trying to get upstream, to focus on situations where you can intervene before the tragedy happens. Some of the things that we've really tried to invest in is we want to make sure that law enforcement is aware of the law. And so we've been working with our Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission to infuse education about extreme risk protection orders to officers who are being trained at academy, officers who are already in the field. And so what we have to do is to really educate. This is the purpose of the law. There is due process built in. These are not being filed willy-nilly. They're absolutely being properly vetted through prosecutors and law enforcement and families. This is really important collaborative work. It's really important that the messaging be there and be proper. It's interesting, as we've gone across the state and talked to different jurisdictions, law enforcement, sometimes they haven't even heard of it, or they've heard of it but they don't really understand it. And once you really get down to explaining that this is about intervening when someone's in a behavioral health crisis or exhibiting violent behavior, and you fear that their access to firearms could endanger the public or themselves. Most police agencies can think of individual people that they've had multiple contacts with that they're worried about having firearms. And so once you really bring it down to that level, people really start to understand that this is really intended to be a prevention tool and try to reduce harm. Data collection and research and evaluation of extreme risk protection laws is critically important. Anytime we have a new law, we should really evaluate the effectiveness of it. I know when the law first came out, there were concerns about disproportionality and is this going to impact some groups worse than others? And we can't answer those questions until we really lean into what's happening. So I look at it like we really want to understand the implementation level data of how many are being sought. Did you have to get a search warrant? Were they denied? Were they granted? Is it law enforcement or family household members who are petitioning? All of that information is critically important. But I also believe that looking at more evaluation or more of the contextual characteristics of those cases, are they threats to harm self? Are they threats to harm others? Are they combinations of both of those situations? understanding that gives us tools to get further upstream to try to prevent people getting into that place in the first instance.